Hello there and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a get ready with me. I have a bunch of new products that I want to try out on camera. A few that I've been testing out a time or two so I can give you my thoughts along the way. But I also wanted to bring you a tutorial. I had a request to use the Tartelette Juicy palette. So want to use that in my look today. I'm thinking kind of bronzy, neutral with hints of kind of some rose and peachiness that I have in my top here. So if you're new here, be sure you hit that subscribe button. Now let's get started. First item is, of course, eyeshadow primer. I'm using a new one. This is by Rare Beauty. It's the Always an Optimist Weightless Eye Primer. So I've used this a couple of times and I'm actually really liking it. It has a little bit of sheer coverage. It feels really cooling as it goes on the lid, and it does dry down very quickly. So I'm learning that it's better to work one eye at a time. Make sure you get it all blended out first before moving to the next eye. But you can see, I mean, that blended in super easily and it's already just about completely dry. So a little hint of kind of sheer coverage and a little added brightness to the lid. Before going in with eyeshadow, I'm going to show you another new product. This is by BoxyCharm and it's called Plump Shot. And what it says on the box is it's clinically shown to plump, increase fullness and volume, and decrease lines and wrinkles, loaded with pure vegan collagen, tsubaki oil, hyaluronic acid filling spheres, and tripeptides. So I assumed this was going to be kind of like their normal gloss, and it's not. It's almost like a balm type formulation. And it's just kind of interesting. I don't know, we'll see. I have been trying to test out its claims to see really if it's that different than their normal full-on lip plumping polishes that I love. You can see, I mean, it gives a little bit of shine, but this isn't a product that you're gonna just put on and go out the door necessarily. You could, but this is definitely more of kind of a lip preparatory step. I mean, it gives a little bit of shine, but not tons of gloss. So we'll leave it on the lips and see what you think at the end. All right, back to the eyes. I showed this in a Darlings and Duds video. I think this is a great palette, but if you purchased the set, the Give Get gift set at Christmas time, and I think it might still be available, that little Juicy palette had much more plum tones also included in it, which this one does not. So overall, it is a very neutral palette with just some hints of rosiness. So today, that's kind of what I want. Just a hint of rosiness, but overall neutral. So we're gonna start off with this matte shade right here, which is Wishful on a Sigma E50. Put this just right under the brow. These shadows do blend really well. The shimmers are very gentle, so they don't emphasize texture. Not gonna get all out metallic looks with this palette, but I think that does make it a little more user-friendly too. So now with the Morphe M504, let's start off with a little bit of this shade right here, which is Inspiring, kind of more peachy toned. So as I mentioned, I'm kind of in that mood to do something kind of summery, bronzy skin with kind of summery, springy, summery eye look. We'll see how it turns out. You know how these looks are. We just get going and things morph and change as we go along. So, I mean, really no effort to blend that shade. It's a light shade, but you can see that went on real easily. Now I'm gonna deepen it up just a little bit. Let's do a combination of these two shades. So this first one is Petal and Charmed. So Petal has that little bit of rosiness and Charmed is a little more on the kind of camel color side, lighter camel shade. Still very neutral. I'm going to switch to a slightly smaller brush. This is the Morphe M433, a clean one. Need to clean my brushes. And I'm going to go in with this brown shade. It is called Luscious. And I would say this is a rosy brown, so it's not too warm, but it has just a little hint of some rosiness. I love it. And I'm just going to darken this outer corner just slightly. I don't want anything too dark and smoky today. All right, before we darken the outer corner anymore, I'm going to go in with my eyeliner now. I'm going to use the Pixie Endless Silky Eye Pen in Black Cocoa, and I'm going to do a real smudgy line here. So I'm going to start first with this, and you can see how messy I'm being, just something quick, doing kind of more of a wedge shape there as we get to the outer corner. And then just bringing in a real thin line as we get closer to the inner corner. Then I'm gonna go in with the BK Beauty 204 brush, and I'm just tapping the top edge of that pencil just to soften it a little bit. And then I'll go back to the palette, and I think I'm gonna just use this real dark brown here. It's called Euphoric, and just use this to further soften the edge of that pencil and just darken this outer corner slightly. If you have hooded eyes, by deepening the outer corner, kind of bringing the darkness here in the crease here, that is kind of helping trick the eye that you actually have a crease here. Many of us, it just disappears into that fold. So that's why I like to add a little bit of darkness here in the outer corner, because I have hooded eyes, and this outer corner can look, the hood can look really, really heavy if I don't do this. So just gonna bring that across like that, and just go over the line. This is gonna help set the liner in place as well. And then go back with the Morphe M433, and I'll do just a mixture. I'm gonna go into this shade Luscious, which we did in the outer corner, and then just the tiniest touch there in that dark brown. And just feather that up slightly here. Okay, so what I did on this side, I kind of layered a couple of different shades back and forth, did them wet, dry, just trying to see which method is going to be quicker. So let's try it this way. I'm going to start off with this shade right here, which is Dawn. And I'm going to start off actually using that on a damp brush. So I'm going to load up my brush and then add some Fix Plus. And let's just put this on this portion of the lid. Okay, so you can see applied directly wet, it's a real soft, just subtle sheen on the lid. So now I'm going to go back in now with my finger in that same shade, and I'm going to tap that over that same section. And then I'm going to mix in a little bit of this rosy shade called Orchid, and that's what that looks like. Again, another real soft, kind of subtle, shimmery shade. And so now I'm just gonna go back and forth between those two shades until I get kind of this peachy, rosy tone I'm going for. And then on the inner corner, I'm going to now add a little bit of this shade, which is called Reflect. And I'm going to use my pinky for that. And then I'll just take my slightly dampened brush, just kind of tap over that to kind of blend those colors all together. And then one more time with the 204 and this dark euphoric shade. Just going to use that just to kind of make sure that blends into the shimmery shades we just put down. Take the M433. We'll probably go back and freshen up that inner corner highlight when we're done with concealer. All right, so for the lower lash line, I want to use this new eyeshadow stick from Milani. It's called Gilded Shadow Stick, and the shade is, I don't know. I'll put it across the screen. I'm going to use this kind of below my lashes, and there's several new Milani products out kind of in a limited edition set. So I'm going to do a separate video with that because it came with, there's a cute eyeshadow palette. Oh my goodness, the cutest ever. I just wanted to give this one a try today. It's a really pretty kind of bronzy, taupey bronzy shade. Really like that. Kind of makes it real easy to kind of give a nice diffused look down here. One final step is just to take a Morphe M432 and go back in with that dark brown shade. By the way, I love it when I open up this palette. It has a real soft, sweet scent, kind of like vanilla. It's not overpowering, but I just love it. Kind of smells like a MAC lipstick, if you know what that smells like. Just a real nice subtle scent. Let's clean up under the eyes here with a little bit of almond oil. All right, for foundation today, I'm gonna use the new Dior Forever foundation. I've only used this once. This is the shade 3WO. It's a little dark for me at the moment, so I am going to add a little bit of the LA Girl Pro Foundation Mixing Pigment in white, just because while I want to look bronzy, when you have short hair, you do have to, you know, make sure all of this matches. So I don't want to be too bronzed here today. All right, so I've mixed it on my little palette here, and I am going to try using a beauty blender, like the brand name beauty blender. I have not owned one of these in years. I finally picked one up when it was on sale at Ulta recently. So this is just one of the special limited edition ones. But just kind of want to see how this foundation works with a sponge. It is super full coverage if you apply it with a brush. But today, kind of want my skin not to look too heavy. Now the texture on this foundation is actually quite lightweight. It feels almost kind of like maybe slightly gel-like in formulation. And I do think I prefer kind of the brush. Definitely, obviously, always gives you more coverage, but let's just see how much we can add in these little spots here. Yeah, I don't know. This is supposed to be a matte foundation, but even after it sits for a little bit, I would not call this a matte foundation. I would say it's more of a natural finish, but we'll let that sit for a little bit and then check back in. I'm going to use a new concealer. One or two of you mentioned this one in a recent video that I posted, and it's the Causemetics concealer. I tried one shade of this and it was so dark and yellow, like it was like the color of the cap, yellow. So I went to Sephora in person to try and find a better match, and I ended up with the second to lightest shade. So I'm really hoping this isn't too light. What is this shade? It is 1. I think there's a 0.5. So it's just kind of interesting. I'm struggling even in my, I mean, I've got a little bit of sunless tanner on, and in the store when the sales associate was swatching the options, they all looked too dark for me. So I don't know. That's not too bad. It is a little lighter than I typically would go for with this dark of a foundation, but I don't feel like it's too bright. Normally I tap it in with my fingers, but you know, let's just try the Beauty Blender today. Definitely brightening. Let's add a little more coverage here. And I'm gonna bring this down since it is so much lighter. Might need a shade adjustment yet again, we'll see. Okay, I feel very brightened under the eyes. For blush today, I had requests to try out this little beauty, and it really is a little beauty. This is the Rare Beauty Nearly Apricot, and what are these even called? It's one of her cream blush formulas, but I just think the packaging is just beautiful. It's almost like a macaroon or a macaron, however you pronounce that, but so cute. And actually, I had heard very mixed reviews on this formulation. I have actually really found it to be lovely. So this is the Luxe 522. Again, this is the shade Nearly Apricot. And I'm just taking a little bit of that on my brush. I don't find these hard to build up pigmentation. I don't find that they move the foundation. So I'm not sure why there's been so many mixed reviews on this, but personally, I almost like this better than her liquid blushes that are like this one, because this one is so pigmented that you can get into trouble real quickly. This one I find is just really user-friendly. And I mean, look how much color I could keep adding, but let's not get carried away here. All right, so got a nice kind of peachy tone. I'm going to now just brush a little bit of that to kind of connect my eyeshadow there in the outer corner. Been doing that recently and I like that look. To set my foundation today, I'm going to use the Becca Hydro Mist Set and Refresh Powder. I figure I might as well use this while I can before it's totally discontinued. But I'm using this huge e.l.f. sponge to put this on my face today. But when I used this foundation before, I set it with the Peach Perfect powder, which is my other favorite powder. That one is a little lighter, I think a lighter setting powder than this one is. So I kind of want to just try them, you know, one day after the next. Just want to see which one kind of keeps the foundation more matte, or if they both are the same. When I used this foundation before, it did last for me well. I think I had it on 12 hours. I did get pretty shiny with it, which I was surprised, but we'll see how it does with this powder today. I'm gonna see how that concealer does without setting it for the time being. We'll see. All right, for bronzer, I have a new one from Wayne Goss. And again, another kind of trial and error product for me. The first time I ordered this, comes in 3 different colors. I ordered the light version. I opened it up and the contour shade literally was gray. And that works if you have super fair skin. And I'm like, oh no, that is not going to look right on my skin. So I sent it back and I traded it in for the medium shade. Now this kind of looks like it's not gonna do much. I used it yesterday though, was quite impressed. So this is the matte side, and then this one has just a very subtle sheen. So We're going to start off with the matte side to do some contouring. Now, again, I do have a video coming, kind of an updated video about contour, bronzer, and blush. The contour is meant to look like a shadow. So you don't want anything too warm in this region of your face or it's gonna look really strange. So we're just trying to trick people into thinking that I have slimmer cheeks than I really do. And we're going to just kind of also shape the forehead. I don't have a super large forehead, but I do kind of like to shorten it just a little bit. And so by putting contour up here, that helps make the forehead look shorter. And then also I'm going to take a little bit of this along the jaw here. Make my face look less round. I'm going to actually kind of cut off some of this roundness here. So that contour, I mean, it really does blend in effortlessly. So it feels very smooth and silky to touch. I use just a tiny little bit of that on my brush to do some nose contour here. It's pigmented, so at first you can freak out and go, ah! But you can see, I mean, it really, it just blends in really easily. Now we're going to go into the other side. Let me switch brushes. This is the BK Beauty 103. And I'm going to use this shade now. And it seems like it's not going to do much, but you can see by putting it more on the top of the cheek, because this is more the bronzer color, because it has that sheen. You don't ever want to contour with something that has a sheen or shimmer in it. So this is more on the top of the cheek and kind of this area of the forehead, just making the skin look healthy and glowy. It's still allowing that peachy blush to kind of peek through, but I think the combination's really pretty. All right, now I forgot. I was going to maybe work this in. This is the Bare Minerals Bronzer, and this is the light shade, which is called Kiss of Pink. And I wasn't too sure when I unboxed this if this would actually show up on me, and it does. So I'm using the Morphe E4. I'm just gonna use this on the front part here so you can see. I'll just do one cheek at a time. I mean, look at how much that showed up compared to this one. It actually has quite a lot of pigment, and I think everyone is a little confused with the bronzer, like the idea that it's a bronzer, because it does not look like a bronzer shade at all. But I think it works well with a bronzer just to kind of make you look like you've been kissed by the sun. So a little bit like if I got a little sunburn and a little tan mixed together, I'm guessing. I don't know. All right, I think we could still stand for a little more highlighter. What do you think? Always, right? I'm going to use this highlighter from RMS Beauty, and it's the shade Grand Dame. This is just a deluxe sample size, using the MAC 140 fan brush. And I've really been enjoying this shade. It's kind of a little gold champagne. I mean, those cheeks are really glowing now. Let's go back to our palette for a little more inner corner highlight. Go back to this shade here, which is Reflect. It's a very similar shade to what we used on the tops of our cheeks, so I think it will tie in nicely. All right, you could definitely leave the eyes here, but I want to show you, I talked about adding this dazzle stick to the top of shadows. So I kind of wanted to show you what that looks like. So this is the KVD Dazzle Stick Inhale Surge, and it's a cream shadow, but I have loved using this in multiple ways, and this is one of them. So I just take a little bit of this on my finger and just tap on top. Several of you have said you get frustrated with glitter because it falls down on your cheeks, and this will not do that. So this is a way that you can add just a little extra sparkle and shine. And by tapping it on and not really taking away from the color of the shadow, you can just see a little extra shine compared to this one. So that's one of my favorite things to do. Get to the end of your look and you just want a little extra something. Just tap on a little bit of this. All right, as you can tell, we've progressed. I put on some brows. I just recently did a brow routine video, which I'll link up here, and I just used the same products from that one, which are the Milani Precision Brow Pencil and the e.l.f. Wow Brow. So now to finish up the look, we need some lashes, and I'm going to curl my lashes, and then I'm back to using my Origins underwear for lashes. Just opened up a new tube of this, the IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara, and then on the lower lashes, the Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Extensions. All right, so I finished fixing my hair and all of that, so now it's time to put some lip products on. But before we do, we need to just check out the Buxom Plump Shot. I would say I still see lines, but the lips do feel still very moisturized. It's a different kind of refreshing, plumping feeling than the full-on lip polishes. If I take off the gloss, I do feel like they are slightly more plump, especially down here. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I am continuing to test this out, and I'm trying to get a little more scientific, you know, to really, really put it to the test and see if the lips actually get plumper, but we'll see. In the meantime, let's finish up. So I'm going to use the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot around the edge of the lips. All right, so for the lip liner, I'll probably combine two just to get the right shade. But I'm going to start off with this new one from Smashbox. It is their Be Legendary Lip Liner. I have the shade Deep Mauve, and oh my goodness, I've been so impressed by this. It lasts on the lips all day long, and it keeps your lip color from bleeding all day long. So typically, a good lip liner I'll pair with the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, and that will work for the first application. But then usually by the next application, if I don't reapply the paint pot, I can still get some residual bleeding. Not with this one. I don't even have to reapply it. It's still in place. It's supposed to prime the lips, all that good stuff. Yeah, I've ordered a couple more colors, so let's go ahead and apply it. So that color on its own, I absolutely love. It is a deep mauve shade. Just absolutely have been so impressed, and it's a super smooth formula. I'm gonna add a little bit of the MAC Strip Down lip pencil though, just to tone down some of that pink tone in there. And for lip color today, I have this new Bite lip gloss, and I don't even, oh yes, I did save the box, goodness, whew. It is called the Yay Sayer Plumping Lip Gloss infused with cinnamon oil. So you may not know this about me, but I love hot cinnamon anything. I am just a huge cinnamon fan. So when I saw that this was infused with cinnamon oil, and yes, it smells like cinnamon, I thought, I gotta try that. So this is the shade Cider Donut. Doesn't that sound delicious? This is what is so weird. Okay, so I took the cap off. All right, so it has this cap, and when I first got it, I was untwisting and untwisting and nothing's happening. I pulled this off and I thought, what is that? And then I remembered the lady in the store had shown me you need to actually twist. And so you have to twist it several times to get the product going at, but then it comes out, and I'll show you this color on the back of my hand. It's a really pretty, I would say rosy rosy bronze shade. And I don't know, I think it's really pretty. I've only used it, I think about 2 times, but this is the first time kind of all on its own. So let's just see. And the texture on it is not super sticky. I would say it almost feels a little more of a lip oil type consistency. It tastes like cinnamon. Again, not that you should eat your lip gloss, but just in case, you know, any of it gets in your mouth. And I've not found this to really feel uncomfortable at all. I'm trying to even remember if I felt that plumping tingle from the cinnamon oil. I don't recall feeling anything, but there you go. On the lips, it's really nice and shiny. All right, so here's our finished look today. And I think one of my favorite parts of the look is the cheeks. I love the glow that we've got going on. I love this bronziness, and I just think that combination of all those cheek colors worked really well. I also love how my skin feels with that foundation. It feels very lightweight. So I'll be sure to keep you posted on that foundation, as well as all of these new products that I've been testing out. I'm planning a Sephora haul update video, so be sure to watch for that one. But overall, the eye look, I love kind of this neutral rosy bronze color that we have on the lid, and the Tartelette palette. Again, it is a very, I feel like, neutral palette. So hopefully by seeing it in action today, it will help you if you are on the fence of whether or not to purchase. Now, again, there are only a few kind of rosy tones, and you saw me combine even that pink shade with the gold, and so it doesn't even look that pink on the lid. But if you're looking for more rosy plum tones, see if you can get your hands on the Little Juicy palette, because there's the plum shades that I feel like are missing from the Big Juicy palette. But overall, I think this is kind of that early spring, early summer, California dreamin' look. I know many of you have told me you're still getting cold and snowy weather, and so I went in my backyard, picked these beautiful flowers this morning. Oh my goodness. They're so fragrant. I'm having so much fun going to my backyard, looking out the window every day to see what new rose bush has bloomed, because each one is a different color. And many of you know we just moved into this house, so I don't know what colors they planted, but this is so far my favorite. So just wanted to share a little bit of spring. Thank you as always so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye.